Hi, so in case you missed either my tweet or my community post about it, community post, me using that, shocking. I am ill, and that's why Mortal May has had one short, and that is it so far, and we're almost halfway through it. I'm gonna go a bit into June when that happens, but yeah, basically if the audio in this is terrible, or this whole setup seems a bit slapdash and shitty, yes, I need to make something. I need some kind of content out there, because this is still my job, so deal with it. I'm writing a script for a certain video. That'll probably be the first one for proper Mortal May. My voice isn't quite good enough to record the audio yet, but basically this was something I was thought about. Just I need this as a visual, a tier list for the Mortal Kombat movies. Then I thought I could just make that, or I can make actual content out of it, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to try and rank the MK movies, all of them. This list includes the TV shows. I guess I'll do those as well. I'm not sure about these particular ratings. I mean, you've got best, great, good, all right, and then worst. Like, you know, it's like all right should be middle of the road. That should be a 5 out of 10. There should be as many ranks below it as there are above it. What are you doing? Also, tangent. The default top rank is red, and the default bottom one is green. I can't be the only one who finds that weird. Like, surely green should be for the good. That's the good one. Red is the bad one. That's what those colours traditionally mean. So, is this just to look like traffic lights? Is that what they're going for? Anyway, so we're going to go through the MK movies, and I might change the tiers, but for right now I'm going to keep them as they are. And so we start off with Mortal Kombat 1995. If you see more cuts than usual in this, yeah, because I'm stopping to cough, hack and die, and then come back and continue the video. So MK95. Obviously the film has its flaws as an MK film, right? The lack of gore, which I thought was a big deal, but for a lot of people that's a core part of the franchise. And Scorpion and Sub-Zero being just like mute losers who work for Shang Tsung. Those are kind of the two biggest criticisms most fans have. And you know, when you go back to it, there are certain oddities about the way you can just go from fight to fight to fight without much in the way of story progression in between. This is about as good as... But okay, as good as one could expect. No, it's better than one could have expected, given the track record for video game movies at the time. If you look at this from the perspective of now, like with stuff like Sonic or Detective Pikachu and the Mario movie, all these ones that people really like, yeah, of course it's going to look worse by comparison, but at the time its competition was Super Mario Bros. And Street Fighter. I recently watched Street Fighter for the first time, and it's garbage. Holy shit, there's barely a story to it. MK has that, at least. It has characters with actual developments. It doesn't have its main characters just disappear for 20-30 minutes. And the characters actually make sense for their roles within the games. And a lot of the personality traits were kind of codified by this movie. The Threshold production stuff from the 90s did help to kind of set in stone a lot of the character personalities. Like Sonya being this hard-ass bitch wasn't really a thing in the games. She didn't really have a personality. Like, Johnny was clearly meant to be the comic relief, and this version plays into that. But, you know, Sonya's personality is a good example of one that was set in stone. And of course, the movie gave us, like, really good casting, like Christopher Lambert, even though that Raiden is nothing like in the games. But what they gave us is really good. Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage, Cary Tagawa as Shang Tsung. Like, I feel like you can't put it anywhere other than S tier for Cary Tagawa alone. Like, holy shit, that man... I wouldn't say he made the movie, but... he's damn near close to it. It's also just fun. It's a fun movie that gets enough right about the game lore. There's not enough major deviations from the games to really be upsetting. And it doesn't overstay its welcome. You know, that's the thing that comes up with some other films. Like, I think 2021 is the longest film, and it's probably the least interesting one, the most boring. And this film, you know, it's like an hour and a half. It knows what it is. It just gets right through that. You come out of it, you have a fun time. And so it's hard to look at it and go, that's a bad film, you know? I really enjoy it. And it does say best/favourite, which means you can't argue with me on this. You might say, well, you know, I don't like it. It doesn't matter. It's not about you. It's about me. Favourite, not best. It's best though, yes, but also favourite. My favourite. So, yeah, you know, shut your mouth. It's not about you, it's about me. Then we have The Journey Begins. Now, The Journey Begins was this straight-to-video little weird promotional thing made to coincide with the release of the movie. Which is weird because it's basically the first act of the movie. You know, getting up to the island, the characters learn about the tournament and whatnot, and the backstories of certain characters. But it includes stuff that wasn't in the film, and is just from the game. Like, Scorpion Sub-Zero's backstory is lightly explained. This thing doesn't portray Scorpion Sub-Zero the same way the movie does. It portrays him differently. But the stuff that's from the movie, like Liu Kang being descended from Kung Lao, and then there's stuff that's not, and it's this weird mishmash, and there's just random made-up bullshit, like Goro had a brother, and there's a bunch of flashbacks that are fully CGI. This is pre-MK4. This was 95 this came out, so this was 2 years before MK4 came out, and we had fully 3D fight scenes, and they are atrocious. Like, you think the endings of MK4 are bad? Wow, this is just awful. Like, I mean, and there's a focus on trying to like realistic martial arts, I guess, but it's just really weird when Goro, big muscular forearm man who devastates the great Kung Lao, who just looks like MK2 Kung Lao, he gets him down and goes, "What?" Like, he just does a chop to his chest, and that's how he dies. Oh, it's terrible. He also gave us great things like the Ling Q as a pronunciation for Lin Kuei. The voice actor of Winnie the Pooh is the voice of Shang Tsung and Sub-Zero. That's great. I love that. That's really funny. And Jennifer Hale's Sonya Blade, Jeff Bennett as Johnny Cage, you know, Johnny Bravo himself. Holy shit. Like, there's some fun to be had. Like, it's not something you're going to go into to actually watch to enjoy. It's definitely just a bit of dumb fun looking at this weird, bizarre time capsule. It just was just so terrible. I don't hate it. I'm going to put it in alright. We're going it with friends, get some brewskis or what have you, and it's like, yeah, it's just a bit of dumb fun. It's fine. I've only got through 2 of them, I'm already dying. Then we have Defenders of the Realm. I appreciate this is all in release order. So Defenders of the Realm was a cartoon. Also, from Threshold, this one is a sequel to the movie that's not canon to Annihilation. And basically, it was just a 13-episode cartoon. Whenever it flashes back to the events of MK1, it's showing toned-down versions of the movie scenes. Like the first episode, when Liu Kang throws the bucket of water on Sub-Zero, it just hits him and freezes him. It doesn't, like, impale him on ice and kill him. Shang Tsung is not impaled on a spike, he just falls to his death and just, So it's more of a Pit 2 than a Pit 1. And there's some wild casting in there, like Cree Summer, you know, famous voice of, like, every black girl in animation from like the late 90s. She's Kitana, and actually a really solid one. Luke Perry is Sub-Zero. Like, what? Clancy Brown, the man Clancy, Mr. Krabs himself, yes, the Kurgan, he's Raiden. Oh, it's just, the casting was wild. Just Ron Perlman is Stryker. But it's let down by being a fairly low budget cartoon, animation errors galore. And then the final episode just randomly has way better animation and art style for no reason. And they have this guy voiced by, is Birdman? Voiced by John Rhys Davies, who is now being referenced in M1K. Like Baraka learned his style or something. And it's like, what is going on here? This is baffling. But the cartoon itself is kind of trash. I'm going to put it in alright, because again, it's like, it's a somewhat ironic enjoyment thing. It's not really something you go into, take it all that seriously. I think anyone who would try that is kind of a fool. Oh, I have to move this stuff around now. That's where... Oh, I have to stand over here now. Can you tell I don't normally do this? Then we have Annihilation, the direct sequel to the original 95 film, and, you know, considered one of the worst video game movies of all time, and you know, for good reason. The story's shoddy, it's full of extraneous characters who exist just to die in one scene, which, in fairness, most fighting game movies do that. Like, even the newer ones, like the one coming out this year is going to do that because they brought back half the dead characters from the last one. It's well known for its really campy dialogue and delivery. Too bad you will die, and it is glorious, you know, all this dumb stuff. Oh, of course, Jax, of course. The walking black stereotype that he is in this film. Like, I'll take homeboy, he says. What? Especially funny when, like, a couple of years later we learn that Cyrax is also black. It's like, guys, you know, like, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, you know. Like, maybe you should have changed that line of dialogue at some point. But the thing about MK Annihilation is, and it's one of the things that people who take media a bit too seriously just don't understand, is that MK Annihilation is fucking great. I feel like this is what made me understand the concept of So Bad It's Good. Like, a lot of people's examples would be like The Room or something. For me, it's MK Annihilation. It's so bad, it's so dumb, there's terrible CGI. Like, they had the final fight be part big CGI monster fight, even though the effects were like, they were bad for the time. They were bad for the time if they were on TV. Like, the effects were atrocious. I have to assume it's either because the budget was lower or because the script was so bad and the actors didn't want to do it. They're only able to get 3 actors back, and one of them wasn't even playing the same fucking character. That's how bad this was. They almost had Lyndon Ashby back, and then he said, no, I'm not going to come back just to die in 5 minutes. And while it's true to MK3, it would have been smarter for them to go, okay, well, we can't get most of the cast back. Let's just rework the story a bit and give Johnny a bigger role. Maybe he dies halfway through or something, or just bring back Lyndon Ashby, for fuck's sake. Annihilation is arguably more fun than the first film. And the fights are generally better in the first one, but at the same time, this one's got all this funny, terrible dialogue. Like, it's an absolute shit show, and it is glorious. Conquest was the last major production by Threshold, the last mainstream one, because they also did Federation of Martial Arts, I'm pretty sure, which is not on here, and that would be in worst. Although Jack's going, worst Rain, and then Rain just like T-poses down behind him, is pretty damn funny. Conquest is a prequel TV show about the Great Kung Lao, and yes, it is canon, even though it ends with everyone fucking dying. There isn't a lore explanation for how things get from there to the first movie, and it's basically just live-action prequel with some of the original actors. They were able to get Chris Casamassa back as Scorpion, for example, and the other characters, while they're recast, like Jeff Meek does a really good job doing the Lambert Raiden just without the accent. He dropped the accent in Annihilation when James Remar took over, so who gives a shit? And Jeff Meek was great as him and Shao Kahn. Like, this is maybe the best Shao Kahn we ever got, because he's genuinely actually an intimidating character. He's not just a complete putz like most versions of Shao Kahn. Most of them are just like dumb brutes, and this guy schemed. When Shao Kahn schemed, that's when it was best. It's Official did a really good video about this version of the character. The problem with the show was being a prequel about the Great Kung Lao. One, you know where the story would end anyway, but also most of the characters are just original. Like, we kind of recreate the Johnny, Sonya, Liu Kang trio with Zero, Taja, and Kung Lao, but they're just not as compelling, unfortunately. A lot of the stuff that is good about Kung Lao is kind of just taken from Liu Kang, and Zero's fun watching him being a dick, and Taj is okay. They're not bad characters. It's just they're the poor man's substitute for the characters from the present day. You do get a lot of characters, admittedly, but you are kind of stuck with characters that can show up in this time frame. And I often wondered what this might be like if they had perhaps just made it like a sequel to the movies, like the same way that Defenders of the Realm is a sequel to the first film that is ignored by the movies. Maybe this could have been another TV show that splits off, while Devastation would have intended to go in a different direction, but then I guess this would just be the third story, because Devastation never happened. Unfortunately, Conquest's budget starts to really show as it goes on, and there's a bit of a decline in the writing quality, and characters you'd expect to show up a lot more are barely in it. Like, Scorpion is the villain for the first episode. He comes back like once, maybe twice. Meanwhile, Reptile's over here with his own subplot in the latter half of the series. Again, it's alright, it's fine. One of the downsides to this is that it's a live-action show with 26 episodes, about 40 minutes a pop. Defenders of the Realm is 13 20-minute episodes. You can breeze through that in a few hours. Conquest is a commitment. This isn't like, season 1 Arrow quality, This is like season 5 Flash quality, roughly. So, yeah. But on the subject of things that never were, Mortal Kombat Rebirth. Rebirth was, of course, basically a pitch for an MK movie. I'm not sure how his name's pronounced. Kevin Tancheron, I'm not sure. Kevin. So, your boy Kev came out here with this pitch for a Mortal Kombat movie that makes things more realistic and grounded. I guess it was inspired by stuff like the Nolan Batman films, where we're kind of taking out the more outlandish ideas and making it more grounded. The problem is, that's the coolest part. Those Batman movies had fucking boring villains. Like, yeah, there's some decent stuff with the Joker and that, but like, I want to see Mr. Freeze, I want to see Poison Ivy, I want to see these cool characters. I don't want to see these man who do martial arts good or criminal boss. Like, have some variety in your fucking 9-hour fucking monster of a trilogy, you fuck. Anyway, the image here is of Baraka. That's Baraka. It's the guy who played Eddie Gordo in the Tekken movie. So he's some doctor who killed a patient by accident, sorry. And then he murdered patients intentionally, and then he pierced his skin. Like, I guess him being a doctor is just an excuse for him to like make his face look like a monster, where he's like like collagened his face up for some reason. I don't know why he's meant to have done that. And then he just like decapitates Johnny Cage. It's fucked. And the premise is supposed to be Scorpion is like a criminal who's been captured by the cops led by Jax, and he's been sent to compete in the Mortal Kombat tournament. But there's no Outworld, obviously. So why is Shang Tsung holding this underground tournament if there's no Outworld? What is the threat here? Is it just and then Sub-Zero's gonna be some kind of weird cyborg guy? So that defeat the point of this grounded setting. The fuck are you doing? This is weird. Fortunately, it never went anywhere because it's fucking dog shit. But what ended up happening instead, they made a web series with a similar tone, but it does retain the supernatural components of the series, and that's MK Legacy, which got 2 seasons, and they're both listed here separately, so we'll count them both separately, because I mean, they are quite different. Same director, same continuity, but some of the same actors. A lot of them did change between seasons. The characters who do return, but they feel so separate. The style is very different. So season 1's just a bunch of origin stories: Jax, Sonya, and Kano, and then Johnny Cage, and then Katana and Melina, and so on and so forth. Because I hesitate to call Legacy good is the thing. It's not like bad in a fun way, but I can see the ambition. And having only in the last few months finally seen season 2, over a decade after it came out, because I didn't like season 1. I didn't see a point in watching season 2. I had to watch it for the Kenshi video. Finally watched season 2, and season 1 is a lot better. I don't want to call it good, but I'll put it in there because it's a tier above these that are just fine. I'll work that out in a bit. I think there might have been a budget cut or something, because a lot of the actors didn't come back. Like, they had Michael Jai White as Jax and Jerry Ryan as Sonya, and I have to imagine that must have cost a lot. Raiden got recast, and I think the only returning cast members were Ian Anthony Dale as Scorpion. I think Katana or Melina came back, and that's it. Johnny got recast. Like, Johnny Cage is Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers, and then you have like Kari Tagawa back as Shang Tsung, his first time playing the old man Shang Tsung. And then Dan Southworth as Kenshi, Virgil from Devil May Cry. And like, it feels like it's more like a deep cut reference cast that they spent money on, rather than like these somewhat big name TV actors. But it's just kind of disjointed and weird. Like, the tournament begins, but I thought that this was all supposed to lead it to a movie, and then that would be the tournament, but I guess, like, no. The story isn't even finished. It ends where we're about to get this big emotional fight. I think there's 2 ways you can watch it. One is to just watch all the backstory and then the tournament, or one is to watch it all spliced up where it's cutting back and forth between the present day and the past. A bit like Arrow, I guess, where it's like going through backstories of certain characters and what they're up to on the island now. So we have like a 2-part of this. Like, here's Kenshi's backstory, where he's like a man from the ancient past, like 1100s or something, and then here's his fight with Kenshi in the tournament with no explanation of how he's still alive. It's just bad, and it feels really bad because, again, I love Dan Southworth. He's great. Like, him as Kenshi is like perfect casting, but this is just bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, the fights are decent. And it is also just kind of fascinating looking at the whole evil Liu Kang plot, where he and Shang Tsung are just like sat in a diner, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess the tournament that was being set up in the first season happened off screen between. Unless season 2 is supposed to be a sequel to the movie, but then it's giving away the ending to the movie that Liu Kang like decapitated Shang Tsung, and then Shang Tsung seduced him to the dark side to fight in the next tournament or something. I don't understand. Like, the Earthrealm forces for the tournament are Sub-Zero, Kenshi, Johnny Cage, Kung Lao, and Curtis Stryker. And then Outworld, it's Katana, Melina, Ermac, Liu Kang. What? It's so weird. Scorpion as well, yeah. I don't get it. It's so bad. Speaking of bad versions of the tournament, we've got the first of the Legends films, Scorpion's Revenge. Wow. Actually, to make things a bit simpler, I'm going to do 2021 first, then do all the Legends films together. So 2021, my thoughts on this film are pretty well known by this point. I don't think anyone would be surprised to know that I didn't really like the film. I did record in a live first viewing of it in a group, and that was a fun experience. That was one of the more fun aspects of it. The film itself is not very good. There's a lot of weird stuff they did. Like, this film is about leading up to the tournament, which for like a web series telling the origin stories of the various characters is fine. But this is just the characters meet up and they're going to train for the tournament. But the tournament is not until the sequel. And I don't know why you would do it that way. That's so weird. Especially when major characters are going to die in this very film. And then we come back for the tournament in the sequel. And it's like, well, what was the point of any of that? You're just invalidating itself. It's so dumb. The film does have some good points. I'll give it that. You know, Kano is really fun. Like that's the unifying thing. Everyone, whether they like the film or not, loves Kano in it. Sub-Zero was cool. No pun intended. Kung Lao was really cool. It's why I don't fault them for bringing those three back in the sequel, because yeah, they're the best part of the first film. If they're not in the sequel, I don't think Carl Urban's Johnny Cage can carry the entire thing by himself. So I think we do need those back to help him carry the load. It's not very good. The action is fine. There's some decent action at the start with Scorpion when he's still alive. I honestly think the final fight with Sub-Zero is honestly not that good. I don't think even are that many fights in MK movies that I would look at and go, yeah, this is like a solid fight scene I would watch in isolation. I feel like a lot of them are actually kind of mid, unfortunately. There are some good points against certain characters that make it a bit more fun to watch. It was a weird thing with like, yeah, we're going to do an R rating for this one, all this gore, and there's like one violent kill. A guy gets his head crushed, and it's not that violent because you can barely see it. The only real violence are on Reptile, who is a CGI lizard man with like, I think he has green blood. I can't tell because of the lighting. It's so fucked. And Nitara, who gets sliced in half and there's blood everywhere, and then most of the blood that's on Kung Lao is gone by like the next shot. Not the immediate next shot, like when it comes back to him, but yeah, they didn't do much with it. They put the pit in this R-rated MK movie and didn't have anyone get knocked onto one of the spikes. And the story's trash, the main character's trash. I hope they do something better with Cole in the sequel, but as it currently stands, no. It's not very good. Jumping back 2 years, 2019, the first of the Legends film, Scorpion's Revenge, comes out. This is one of the more popular ones. Like, I think if you're going to look at most people doing this exact tier list, this would go up here with this one. Those are like the two big ones that most people look at and go, these are the good ones, right? But the thing is, I just wasn't really into it. I'm not into the Scorpion worship. Doing MK1 with less time than the original movie had, also trying to do the Scorpion and Sub-Zero plot, like all within a short span of time the original film had, it's just not going to work. And it didn't. Most of the characters feel kind of undercooked, and the stuff it's setting up is like, oh yeah, Liu Kang, you couldn't beat Shang Tsung, but you're definitely going to beat the guy that Shang Tsung works for out of fear. That guy, you're going to kick his ass when you couldn't even beat Goro, who works for the guy who works for Shao Kahn. And then Scorpion just casually murders Goro, and he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna threaten Shang Tsung and all this shit. And it's like, he just interferes in everything, and it feels like a fucking terrible fanfic where someone's self-inserting as Scorpion. I fucking hate it. But does he actually make up for it? Well, it's nice to see characters using their powers in one of the movies. You don't see it as much. More like a set piece within a fight rather than a core part of the character's kit, where the character will be teleporting around and stuff. Originally, I did not like the fact they changed how Scorpion died and all the circumstances there. But in retrospect, I actually prefer the way Scorpion dies, you know, using the ice powers and that. It's actually really cool when it like severs his spine with a shard of ice through his mouth. I'm not too fond of it being in the village, but I guess if you're not gonna adapt mythologies, it makes sense to do it that way or something. I prefer it to actually be Sub-Zero rather than Quan Chi, because that's a fucking stupid twist. I hate it. But the actual rampage Scorpion goes on is really well done. It really does express his rage well, but I do wish we actually got to see Harumi as a character before then, but again, there's not really time for that. It may have been better to just not focus at all on the other characters and just focus on Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It's the terminology here that's fucking me up, because I wouldn't call it great. Like, it's definitely more deserving of being considered good than these two. It's definitely one of the better MK movies. Like, actual quality, it would be like the second best one. I just think Annihilation is more fun because of how bad it is, you know? Battle of the Realms, I once said that somehow MK 2021 is not the worst MK movie of 2021, and I stand by that wholeheartedly. Battle of the Realms is one of the worst. Probably the worst of the ones that actually came out. Because there's too much going on. There are too many characters. The fights end up being in a montage. We're adapting like half the games in the series in one, in the B plot, which then overtakes the A plots at the end. And it's just kind of trash. There are people who like this film, and I don't understand how, but I know who you are, and I will find you. But I just don't enjoy it. And again, the fights were not even good. You don't even go, okay, well, Liu Kang versus Jade is a good fight. It's like 10 seconds long, and that's on the longer side for most of these fights. It feels like they wrote like how the fights were going to end. We'll work out the rest later. And then they were told they didn't have the time or the budget to actually do anything with it. It's like, oh, that's all we have time for. We have to just use that. You know, when you have your fucking martial arts action movie and the fights are super short, especially when it's about a tournament, the tournament gives you a primo excuse to just have fight after fight. MK95 did that. There's a point in the movie where there's like 3 scenes in a row that are just fights. There's like no character interaction in between. It's just fight, fight, fight. And that works. You could easily do that here, but no. The film would have been a lot better if they were told up front, okay, we're going to do these sequels. You can move this stuff into the sequels and just focus on this one plot for this one. But if they'd done that, the series would have been weaker because these next 2 are actually among the best. Yeah, when I said Scorpion's Revenge is probably the second best one in terms of quality, like actual quality, that was at the time, you know, when it came out. But since then, Snowblind and Cage Match have come out, and these are just, wow. Like, genuinely, I would say these 2 movies are on par with the original 95 movie. Genuinely, these are fantastic films. Snowblind was an interesting one because the way it was initially seemed to be based on the poster and whatnot, it's like, well, here's Kenshi and you got Shang Tsung there and Sub-Zero, and it's like, okay, well, it seems like what's going to happen is the Kano stuff is kind of like a smoke screen. That's just going to be ignored, and then we kind of adapting Kenshi's story from Deadly Alliance because, you know, his backstory with Shang Tsung when he gets blinded, and then we're going to have Sub-Zero here who saved him in Deadly Alliance when he was almost killed by Mavado, and maybe it's like an old mentor kind of figure. That's partly what goes on, but that's not really what they're doing. No, the Kano shit is real. Kano got to be the villain, and this is the best Kano's ever been outside of 2021, because that one is just a bit more charismatic. But in terms of actual relevance to the plot, this is as good as Kano's ever been. King Kano is fucking great. And like Sub-Zero being the old man, yeah, it's a bit weird that he has Scorpion's MK11 voice, but he shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm the mentor figure for this film. I keep going off screen. I'm gonna so he works really well as a mentor figure, I guess, because he's, you know, been the Grandmaster with Lin Kuei and had an apprentice and whatnot. These are things that we've seen with Sub-Zero in different points in the timeline, different timelines. It's a really cool setting. It's basically a post-apocalypse samurai western set in Mortal Kombat. There's a world of Mortal Kombat, and like that's actually really good. It works. It's, you know, and something I identified pretty quick when I did the watch party with Chunderdog and Sonic XD is the fact that it's clearly set as an Elseworld. Like if this was just a normal MK universe and it's like Kano's taking over a town and Kenji's gonna go fight, that'd be terrible. That'd be awful. It'd be as awful as this fucking cold, I'll tell you that. Basically, it's an Elseworld story, like in DC or Marvel. But it's not just an excuse to just kill off a bunch of characters horribly and violently. They're telling a solid story about Kenshi's rise from being this cocky, arrogant guy who wants to be the very best. He's a little more restrained than he was in the games, but because he's the main character, you have to make a few tweaks here and there to make him a bit more likable. And they did a really good job with that. And then Sub-Zero as this old man Logan style mentor figure, it works really well. And then the way they set up the inevitable presence of Scorpion actually works. And then you actually get some decent fights in there. Broadly, I don't really talk about the fights because when it comes to animated fights, I generally don't give a shit. Which sounds weird, given the stuff I'm into. I really struggle to keep up with animated fights a lot of the time. I think a lot of them, they aim to make everything really fast, and I can struggle to keep up with them. It's why I like, for example, my taste in anime is not really in the action stuff. It's more like slice of life, comedy, romance kind of stuff. I don't give a shit about the action. It's a solid, serious MK film. It has its levity, you know, of course. Yeah, like the chicken bit, that's pretty fun. The way certain characters are utilised, like, oh yeah, get him, Jarek. Jarek shows up just to be told to go and kill Kenshi. He has less screen time than Zilla does in Godzilla Final Wars. He has less screen time than Zilla's fight against Godzilla in Godzilla Final Wars, and that was famously like 15 seconds long. This is a really solid film. Honestly, it might actually be the best one. The biggest thing holding it back is the fact that because of the twist at the end, you need to be familiar with a lot of MK game lore. I think any other MK film you can watch knowing nothing about the games and understand what's going on. If you were to watch all these films as they came out, you can follow them. This twist, I feel, probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like, what even is this? This just comes out of nowhere. It's not in any of the other films. It's just suddenly here, and you have to explain, oh yeah, well, see, in the games, there's like 11 game arc happens. And then this ultra specific thing that even if you went through the main stories, you might not even know. That holds it back for like non-fans, but for an actual fan of MK who knows the stuff, this is great, and that moment actually does fix most of the problems the film has. You're like, this is weird, that's weird. Oh, I think Sonic RxD in his video actually conveys very well exactly how well this works. So, you know, go watch that as well. Watch the movie first, then watch Sonic's video. Oh hell, watch the movie alongside our watch along. You know, put both on and watch along with us. You know, parasocial, watch with us. You know, that's the thing you do. You pretend you're watching with your favorite content creator who doesn't know you exist, because that's healthy. Yeah. And that brings us to the most recent MK film, which is funny because 2 MK films in a row are all about the Johnny Cage match. I thought it was going to be a train wreck because I do not like Johnny in the other animated films. They reined him in for this one, and it's actually really funny. And it's a really fun comedy, not too serious movie where it's like, oh yeah, the Hollywood elite, literally cultists worshipping a demon. Half of them are actually demons themselves. They're trying to revive Shinnok in the 1980s in Hollywood. It's like, Cage Match shockingly was really good. It's just a fun romp that, again, you don't need to know anything about. I think just the biggest oddity was the fact that there are things that are setting up, like Johnny appearing in the Legends film. Because, like, with a few changes, this film could work fine as a prequel to those other films. But those few things mean they absolutely cannot. Clearly, Johnny Cage was not like this, running around doing these things, fighting these monsters and that, in the 80s, prior to Scorpion's Revenge. So I feel like they probably should have, like, moved away from that stuff a bit. Like, I don't know why you end the film being like, oh yeah, Johnny Cage is going to go to an island. Like, what, Shang Tsung's island? This is a prequel to that other movie. Why not make it a bit more different? But it's just a fun film. Joel McHale's Johnny Cage was actually really fun. Ashra got a really big role. That was nice. Always nice to see Kelly Hoover put another MK character on her resume. She's got, what, like 8 of them at this point? No, I think it's like 6. So if I were to change these tiers, I would say this tier here, best/favourite. If I was to pick a favourite, I'd still probably say the original one, just because it is the core MK story at the end of the day. It's not the post-apocalypse Elseworlds, it's not the 1980s Elseworlds. Those are great, but I prefer the core MK setting. Because I wouldn't mind a game here or there set in those universes, or those styles of universes. Like, if you're going to do the multiverse shit, go all out. Don't just go, well, here's a universe where Havoc wins, and it's all chaos. Give us a cool concept. Give us Snowblind Worlds for a few chapters. Fuck it, make an entire game where the roster is like the characters from different universes. That could be used for a variation system, whatever. It's like, well, Kenshi in this game is like Wandering Samurai rather than just like the normal main Kenshi. This other character's from like a cowboy setting. This character is like from an 80s style action romp. Anyway, to try and wrap this up, I've been here for a very long time. Hoo boy. Yeah, these three, very good. I just have a bit more preference for this one. But these three are all very solid movies. If you want to show someone some of these films, show them this one first, then show them those ones. I mean, you could do these Legends films, whatever. Then we have Annihilation. And again, it's all about personal preference. This is not about objective quality. It's just really fun. It's dumb and it's fun and I love it. It's so bad and that's what makes it great. I would have preferred a good film though. I would have preferred a good film that wouldn't have like jeopardized the chances of that third film where we'd get the good guys fighting Shinnok and Lyndon Ashby was all set to return. He was going to come back. He said so. Then we have the stuff that's, you know, it's fine. It's passable. I don't personally care for it, but like on like an objective level, they're not poorly made. There's just some really poor decisions involved in all of these in the concepts. Then you have these, the mid to bad. Okay, this one's just trash, but it's cheap trash. It's just a promotional thing. Who gives a shit? These are merchandise. That's what these are. These ones are merchandise. These ones are not bad per se. It's not the kind of thing I'm going to go back to very much. I might go back to for a hit of nostalgia. You know, also watch Ron Perlman voice Scorpion. Like, what the fuck? And then you have the truly heinous shit, the film that I'm glad never happened. You can see how it would have been worse if it did happen because see the heights it went to instead. Oh, I really wish we could have seen Generations. It was mostly done, and then WB's like, now we're going to do 2021 instead. Fuck you. Put out content. And then you have Battle of the Realms, which I can't say it's as bad as it gets because Rebirth, even though Rebirth was not made as a film, the pitch does exist. That just conceptually just flat out does not work. This could have worked, it just needed some rework. And there are things that do work, like Raiden's depiction in the film is actually really good. There are some good moments like Scorpion and Sub-Zero reconciling and stuff like that. There are good things in all of these except for Rebirth. Rebirth is just pure trash. And it's not like fun trash, it's just atrocious. It's shite, that's what it is. So that's my rankings for these films. Let me know in the comments what your ranking would be. I can't wait to not read them because I don't care. You know it's true. You know when a YouTuber says, oh yeah, let me know what you guys... They don't care. And you know they don't care. But if you admit it, oh, you're the bad guy. I should probably cut this. No, I'm going to keep it. Feel free to discuss which of these you guys like, whether you're looking forward to the 2021 too. I'm curious, because I want to see what Carl Urban's like. I guess whether or not I'm still hyped will depend entirely on how well the trailer is made. Like, can they make a good trailer? When that trailer drops, I will do some kind of reaction to it or an analysis or something. I don't know what exactly I'll do, but there'll be some kind of content about that. I've got some scripted content that relates to, well, this piece of shit, but not in the way you might think. That is the reason I made this. So I'm gonna make that at some point. I don't know how soon that'll be, because again, my voice is a bit fucky, which is why I probably shouldn't have spent 50 minutes making this video. Let's see if I can trim this down. I'm pretty good at editing bad Mortal Kombat content down. If that gives you an idea of what the next video is. I guess, you know, Combat Kings podcast, definitely check that out. We've done some watch-alongs of those films. We are going to cover the 2021-2 movie. We don't know exactly how we're going to do that yet, because with 2021, it was out on streaming, like alongside the theatrical release. I don't think this one's going to do that. So I don't know how we'd do that. We're not going to do any piracy though. We're not going to have our first viewing via piracy. That's definitely not going to happen. On that note, bye.